The sun sagged low in the western sky, dragging heat and blood behind it. Dust curled like smoke along the trail where the horse staggered, its rider barely upright in the saddle. He bled from somewhere under his coat, dark patches creeping down his side like spilled ink. The prairie around him stretched silent and sunburnt, the kind of place where even the wind forgot to move. Weston Crow didn't believe in last chances, but he was riding toward one anyway. He didn't see the woman until the horse collapsed beneath him, spilling him hard into the dirt. Pain burst in his ribs, sharp and hot, but the world was already tilting. He caught a glimpse of adobe walls, a well, laundry strung out like prayers. And then her, gun in hand, braid long, eyes narrowed like she'd seen too much. When he woke, the ceiling above him was cracked and pale, a long split running across it like an old scar. The air smelled of sage and iron. He tried to sit up, couldn't. "You breathe loud for a dying man," came the voice, dry and even. She stood by the window, rifle propped against the wall, sleeves rolled to the elbow, hands that looked like they knew both dirt and blood. She didn't smile. "Where am I?" he croaked. "Esperanza. You're lucky my mule don't spook easy." His mouth worked. No water. She read in his face and passed him a tin cup. Her hand brushed his. Calloused. Warm. "You got a name?" she asked, not quite curious. He took a beat too long. "Wes. Just Wes." Good enough for now. She didn't push. Just sat and watched him like someone measuring distance before firing a shot. For 3 days, she fed him broth, kept the wound clean. He didn't ask how she knew where to cut or stitch. He'd seen battlefield work before. Hers was better than most doctors. On the 4th morning, he sat up, sore but solid. She handed him a plate and said, "You carry law or trouble?" He chewed the cornbread slow. "Not law. That leaves the other." She didn't seem afraid, just tired of people bringing their mess through her door. He looked around, small house, strong beams, patch roof. A woman alone had kept it standing. That took grit deeper than any mine. "You got a husband?" he asked. "Dead." "Family?" "Dead or scattered." "Why keep this place?" She shrugged. "Someone has to remember it." He let the silence sit. It was comfortable, like worn boots. Later, when he limped out to the well, he saw the truth of her situation. No cattle, just chickens and a broken fence line. Land dry as old bone, but the well was deep. That meant something. That evening, as the sun painted fire across the sky, a wagon rolled up, 3 men, dust-covered, mean-eyed. Town men. He watched from the porch as she greeted them without warmth. "You brought your paper," she said. One of them, older, clean-shaven, stepped down. "Town council's pushing through the land vote. Without a working man on your deed, it goes back to county claim. This land was my husband's. And he's gone. You can't tend it alone." Weston stepped off the porch slow, pain burning with each step. "She ain't alone." The men looked him over, eyes lingering on the bandage under his shirt. "He don't look like much," the old man muttered. "He's enough," she said. They left with dust and threats in their wake. That night, she poured him coffee and didn't speak for a long while. The stars were sharp above them, the kind that made a man remember things he'd rather not. "You want to stay a while?" she asked. "What's the price?" "A name on the deed. A ring on my finger. Make it look good enough the town shuts up." He laughed low. "You want a fake husband?" "I want them off my land." He studied her in the firelight. Strong jaw, eyes like storm clouds, lips that hadn't smiled since he got here. She wasn't playing at anything. "And what do I get?" he asked. "Roof, food, place to rest. Nobody asking who you are for a spell." He didn't answer right away. His gut told him to ride on once he could, keep moving until his sins caught up and swallowed him whole. But his gut was tired. He looked past her, out to where the wind had finally picked up, lifting dirt like breath. "I'll do it," he said, "but I don't lie well." She met his gaze. "Then let's hope the truth don't show in your eyes." He smiled. First time in weeks. It didn't feel good. Somewhere out there, men still hunted him. Somewhere, the past walked with boots and bullets. But here, in the middle of nowhere, a woman had offered him shelter not out of love, but defiance. And Weston Crowe had always respected that more. Morning came slow in Esperanza. The air was cooler now, brushed with autumn's breath, but the earth still cracked beneath their boots. Weston woke to the sound of chickens scratching and her voice calling out to a mule with more tenderness than she ever gave him. He dressed without rush, pulled the boots on tight over his healing leg. The house smelled like frying salt pork and wood smoke. She was already outside splitting kindling, sleeves rolled, hair tied up, sweat darkening her collar. Their marriage had been whispered into existence by town gossips 2 days after the council visit. No one asked for a ceremony, just a signature on a line, and a man sleeping in her home. They ate at the same table, worked the same land, never touched. Weston dug the post holes while she fixed the chicken coop. They barely spoke unless it was about chores. But something unspoken lingered in the space between them, like the pause between lightning and thunder. The boy came mid-morning, maybe 10, lean, all bones and sun-browned skin, rode bareback on a piebald pony, long hair tied with leather. He looked Apache, maybe half. Mina smiled when she saw him, real wide, the kind of smile she never gave Weston. "Thought you'd be with the others," she said. "They gone south for trade." "You hungry?" He nodded. She handed him bread and sat with him under the cottonwood, like it was something they always did. Weston watched from a distance, not trying to listen but unable not to. The boy's name was Nilo. Mina had taken him in after his mother died a few winters back. No one knew where his father went, or if he was ever in the picture. Nilo studied Weston openly. "That your husband?" he asked her. Mina didn't answer right away, then said, "That's the story." Nilo snorted. "He don't look like a husband. He don't look like a lot of things," she replied. That night, Weston sat by the hearth, while Mina mended a torn shirt. Nilo slept curled on a cot in the corner, his hand clutching a knife too big for him. "You trust him?" Weston asked. "I trust he's got nowhere else to be. Same as me then." She looked up. Nilo paused. "Is it?" He held her gaze, searching for the place where steel turned to softness. He never found it. The days passed in that slow Western way. Sun up, work, sun down, silence. They rode into town once for flour and nails. She walked beside him, hand tucked in the crook of his arm, face set like stone. He played the part well enough. Nobody questioned it, but he noticed how she never let herself lean into him. Never let the lie get too comfortable. Back home, the air turned colder. She lit fire most nights now. One evening, a storm rolled in without warning, rattling the windows and spitting rain across the land. Weston rushed outside to cover the tools. Mina joined him, both of them soaked through before they made it back inside. They laughed, wet, breathless, surprised by it. She leaned against the doorframe, dripping, cheeks flushed. He looked at her like she wasn't someone else's problem anymore. "You're not bad at pretending," she said. He stepped close. "I ain't pretending right now." Her eyes flicked to his mouth, then away. "Don't." But he did. Kissed her slow, gentle, like asking a question he wasn't sure he wanted answered. She didn't stop him, didn't pull away, not until the heat built too fast, and she broke it with a shove to his chest. "This wasn't part of the deal," she said. "I don't recall any rules." "There's always rules," she said, "even when we don't speak them." She went to the fire, wrapped in a blanket, back to him. He stood there in silence, the taste of her still on his lips. Later, when the wind howled and the boy turned in his sleep, Weston lay awake staring at the ceiling. Rain tapped the roof like small regrets. He thought about the boy he left behind once. Not Nilo, but someone younger. His own brother. Maybe dead now. Buried in memory too bitter to name. The choices that brought him here weren't clean. They never were. By morning, she acted like nothing happened. Back to work. No mention of the kiss, the fire, the part of herself she let show. "You got ghosts?" she asked suddenly while they shoveled manure in the pen. "More than I got friends." She nodded like she understood. "Good. Then you'll fit here." They didn't talk again until sunset. She stood at the fence line, staring out over the empty horizon, arms folded. "What happens when they come looking for you?" She asked. I'll be gone before that. That a promise? Does it matter? She didn't answer, just kept looking west, where the clouds still hung heavy from last night's storm. I don't believe in promises, she said finally. He stepped beside her, close enough to smell the dust in her hair. You believe in anything? She gave the smallest smile. I believe the land remembers everything we bury in it. He didn't sleep much that night either. Somewhere under all the lies, something real had started to breathe. Neither of them trusted it, but neither could kill it either. And that, Weston knew, was where the danger truly lived. The sky that morning was too quiet. No birds, no wind, just that heavy hush before something breaks. Weston stood at the edge of the property, rifle in hand, eyes scanning the ridge. The land felt wrong, like it held its breath. Mina had felt it too. She hadn't said anything over breakfast, just poured the coffee slower than usual, jaw set tight. Nilo sensed it as well. He stayed near the mule barn, carving circles into the dirt with a stick, glancing toward the horizon more than usual. By noon, the dust trail appeared. 4 riders. Slow, deliberate. Weston didn't say a word. Just walked back to the porch, loaded fresh shells into the Henry rifle. Mina came out with her shotgun already in hand. You know him? She asked. One of them, he said. The rest are just hired guns. They after you? They're after the price on me. She didn't flinch. You bringing war to my land? I try to outrun it. Well, she said, cocking the shotgun, looks like it caught up. They didn't ride straight up to the house. Just circled lazy, like coyotes feeling out a weakened mule. One finally dismounted. Scarred face, red bandana around his neck. Called out with a voice that cracked like dry leather. We don't want trouble, Miss Rose. We just want the man inside. Weston stepped off the porch. He's got a name. Use it. The man smirked. Weston Crow. Didn't think you'd be holed up playing husband. Mina stood beside him. He's my husband. This is our land. The man chuckled. No law says a lie can't wear a ring. He took a step forward, hand near his holster. Mina raised her shotgun. That's close enough. The man held his hands up, but the smile stayed. We got papers. County signed off. You're harboring a wanted man. Turn him over peaceful or we take him rough. Then come try, Weston said. The standoff held a long moment before the man nodded. Turned back to his horse. We'll be back at sundown. They rode off, the sound of hooves like war drums retreating. Weston turned to Mina. You don't have to do this. She stared at the trail, where dust still hung. I already did. He wanted to thank her, but the words stuck in his throat. She wouldn't want gratitude. She'd want readiness. They spent the afternoon nailing boards over the windows and laying a scatter of broken glass beneath the front fence. Mina moved like someone who'd seen siege before. He didn't ask how. When Nilo came back from the far pasture, he was carrying a slingshot and fire in his eyes. I want to help. Mina knelt beside him. You'll help by staying low and staying quiet. I can fight. She touched his cheek. Not yet. He didn't argue again, but Weston saw the rage coil behind the boy's ribs. He knew that feeling. It never stayed quiet for long. As dusk settled in and the sky turned copper, Mina pulled a tin box from beneath the floorboards. Inside, 2 letters, folded and yellowed, a child's drawing, a rosary with 1 bead missing, and a revolver that had been cleaned often, fired rarely. She handed it to Weston. I thought it belonged to someone else. It did, she said, but he's gone, and you're here. He checked the chamber. 6 full. Smelled like oil and memory. Was he a good man, he asked. He wasn't always, she said, but he tried. The silence between them turned tender, heavy. It would have been easy to touch her then, kiss her again, pretend they had more time. But the sun was dipping fast, and the trail was already stirring. They came at dusk, like promised, 3 in front, 1 circling behind. Weston spotted the flank early and sent a warning shot into the dry brush. The rider ducked, cursed, wheeled his horse away. Gunfire cracked like lightning. Windows shattered. The front door rattled as bullets thudded into the frame. Mina fired twice and ducked. Nilo screamed from behind the stacked crates, but held his place. Weston saw one of the attackers crawling up the side fence, used a revolver to drop him. They fought until the stars came out, until the rifles ran dry, and the smell of smoke overpowered the sage. Then silence. Not peace, just the end of noise. Weston stood with his back against the doorframe, blood on his sleeve, panting. He looked over and saw Mina on her knees beside Nilo, checking him for wounds. The boy was pale but untouched. Her hand shook. He stepped out, rifle raised. One body lay sprawled by the well, another near the barn. The last had fled or died out past a ridge. Only one still moved, the scar-faced man, wounded but crawling. Weston walked to him, boots crunching gravel. "You had your chance," Weston said. The man coughed. "You ain't worth dying for." Weston raised a revolver, but Mina's voice stopped him. "Don't." He turned. She was leaning against the post, shotgun lowered. You shoot him, he becomes a story. Let him crawl. Let him bleed. The land will do the rest. Weston lowered the gun. The man didn't look back, just vanished into the dark. Later, Weston washed his hands at the well, the water running pink. Mina joined him, hair loose, clothes torn, smoke in her hair. She looked at him like someone seeing a man, not a ghost. "You stayed," she said. "I couldn't leave," he replied. "You could have." He nodded. "But I didn't." The moon rose, pale and high. Nilo slept inside, wrapped in blankets, the slingshot beside him like a talisman. Mina reached for Weston's hand. Callus touched Callus. "You still think the marriage was fake?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. "I think the lies were easier than the truth," he said. "But not anymore." They stood there in the silver quiet. Two broken people held together by land, blood, and something neither of them had expected. Tomorrow would bring more questions, more trouble. But tonight they had this. A place, a name, and each other. The day after the shootout rose red, smeared with smoke. The smell of gunpowder still clung to the walls. Vultures circled above the ridge, but no one came down the trail. The bodies were gone, dragged off in the night by coyotes or cowards, but the scars they left remained. Weston sat on the porch with his boot off, ankle bound tight, leg pulsing with heat. The bullet had grazed bone, enough to slow him but not stop him. He whittled without purpose, blade tapping soft against cedar. Mina moved around him silently, collecting spent shells from the dirt, fixing the fence again. No words passed between them all morning, but something had shifted. Her steps were lighter. His silence wasn't as heavy. When Nilo woke, he won out barefoot and squinted up at the sun. "They gone." "For now," Mina said. "But they'll be back. Or someone else will." Weston met her eyes. "If we're lucky, just a law." Nilo sat next to him, leaned his chin on his knees. "You gonna leave now?" Weston didn't answer right away. His gaze drifted to the horizon. The thought had been crawling in his skull since dawn. He couldn't stay. Not with the bounty rising, not with the land marked by fire. But leaving now felt like tearing muscle from bone. Mina didn't try to stop him. She never would. That was the kind of woman she was, hard as stone and just as lonely. That night, the wind changed, warm and fast. Weston recognized it before she did. He stood, grabbed a lantern, and climbed to the roof. He saw it far off, down by the canyon edge, a line of flame moving like a tide. "Brush fire," he said, moving fast. By the time they had the animals unpenned and the buckets filled, the fire was halfway across the dry field. Sparks leapt like angry ghosts. Smoke clawed at the sky. "We can't hold it," Mina shouted, coughing hard. "We buy time," Weston called back. "Get Nilo to the creek." Mina hesitated. Her hand gripped the shotgun, as if it could fight flame the way it fought men. "I'll follow," he said. She grabbed the boy, and they vanished down the hill. Weston stayed, piled damp sacks around the barn, smashed oil on the dirt to star the fire's path. Every breath burned. Sparks landed on his coat, his hair, and still he moved, like the land owed him a final task. When the fire reached the porch, he stood in front of the door like a sentinel. The house would burn. He knew it, but not before they made it to safety. Would crack behind him. Heat blistered. A window burst. And then the world turned white. He woke choking on ash. His hands blistered. His coat singed through. But he was alive, curled behind a boulder by the well. Flames now licking the skeleton of the house. He dragged himself up, limping, skin screaming. The rifle was gone. So was his name, maybe. He followed the sound of voices, coughing fits and sobs, until he reached the creek. Mina was there, holding Nilo close, both soaked and streaked with soot. She looked up and saw him, burned, broken, barely standing. "You damn fool," she said, voice ragged. He smiled, crooked and full of ash. "You still got the land." "No," she whispered. "I got you." She helped him sit, her fingers gentler than he'd ever known them. They stayed there till morning, all three of them huddled together in the muddy hollow. When the sun rose, it revealed the bones of the house, black and smoldering. But the land still held. The fence still stood. The well still ran deep. Later, townsfolk came to gawk, some offering help, others just watching to see what ruin looked like up close. The councilman returned, hat in hand, voice thick with fake sympathy. Mina didn't let him speak. "You want my land?" she asked. "You'll have to take it from a fire." He blinked. "It's ash." "No," she said. "It's memory. And memory don't die easy." He left without another word. Weston stood beside her, swaying a little, a crutch under one arm. The wind played with the hem of her dress, tangled their shadows together. She looked at him. "You still think the marriage was fake?" He touched her face, thumb brushing the soot from her cheek. Everything else was. They rebuilt slow. A canvas roof first, then new beams. The boy grew stronger. The chickens returned. The land gave little, but enough. One evening, months later, a stranger rode by and asked Weston if he was the bounty hunter named Crow. "No," Weston said, arm around Mina's waist. Crow died in the fire. The man rode on unsatisfied. That night, Mina handed Weston a new ring, rough-cut silver, plain. "This time," she said, "it's not for show." He slipped it on. "Then I'll wear it proud." The fire had burned away the lies, the fear, the running. What remained was real. What remained was theirs.